To mandate the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions to conduct a holistic investigation into, one, the propriety or otherwise of the recent developments in Nigeria Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market, NAFEN. Two, circumstances and issues involved in the foreign exchange backlog, particularly the invalid 2.4 billion transfer as mentioned by the CBN governor. Three, development financing programs of the CBN of Nigeria, particularly the Anchor Borrowers Program, and report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. I so move, Mr. President.
The financial sector in this country has inflicted so much harm, both on business, entrepreneurial activities, and the economy of this country. The CBN, from this motion, thanks to the new governor of the central bank, Mr. Cardoso, who has decided to speak out, and we heard him loud and clear on this very subject, where a backlog of about $7 million as also carried in this motion paper, $2.4 billion were invalid claims. And if he had not done this, nobody knows, maybe the former central bank governor would have paid everything, and the country will continue to sink. I think that this motion is direct on point, and I believe that the CBN's Bank Examination Department has failed this country over the years.
The truth is, we have for a long time allowed CBN to operate as a government on its own. There is really no transparency in its operation. There is seeming lack of synergy between the financial institutions that the CBN is supposed to oversight and to control. And that is the price we are paying today. So, Mr. President, I wholly support this motion, and I pray that the Senate will do the needful in adopting the prayers as presented in the motion.
Citizens of this country lost their money to these banks. They were flourishing banks at that time. Fake promotions were made, and citizens jumped in. They collected their monies, and the banks closed shop. Nobody is investigating them now. Some of the MDs have been jailed. I know that the MD of Bank PHB, Mr. Tuche, is in prison. But that does not solve the problem. What about the investors' money? The citizens put their monies down, and they got nothing in return. So this one, I support an immediate investigation, because that will bring a lot of revelations. Round tripping. You give somebody $2 million, he will not use it for anything. He will make marginal profit of sometimes 200 naira, 200 naira, 300 naira. Now that the dollar is 1,400 and something naira, you know what it means to hoard $6 billion. The foreign exchange market is not funded. Banks are returning these monies, creating artificial scarcity in the system. And the citizens are choking. The economy is choking. We are all choking. So let's go to the root of this and take very hard actions that will make it a very unfashionable for any bank to engage in this type of sabotage.
I'm a bit concerned about the motion. The content of the motion is very robust. It's very robust. For instance, some of the contentious issues raised here are not things that are within the purview and knowledge of the Senate.
Let's not be speculative in our actions. Since we are going to invite
what is speculative here? There's nothing speculative here, please.
I believe that since we are going to invite him,
Deputy Senate President, we are protected.
Since we are going to invite the CBN governor, let's not put the cart before the horse. We should invite him, let him come and explain By the time he explains, then we'll be able to take action. We can as well bring another motion or do whatever we feel in line with our rules to deal with the matter. But let's wait for him. Let him come. We ask questions. We hear his explanations before we take any action.
Actually said out of the 7 billion outstanding forward transactions, 2.4 billion were found to be invalid. They had cleared 2.4 billion, making 4.8, and what they are contending with now is 2.2 billion.
2.2.
2.2. So that makes 7. But let me now tell you the implication. What I think this memo is trying to, motion, is trying also to do is to also bring transparency into our business transaction as a nation.
Yes.
It is important that we actually, since we know 2.4 is invalid, we should try and help the country to investigate who are exactly the perpetrators of these 2 invalid transactions. That is one.
Yes.
Now, on the anchor borrower scheme as well, and again, beyond the Arise Television, last week Friday, we met the Joint Committee of National Planning, Banking and Finance, and Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions, and appropriations. He also repeated the same issue. So there is no speculation around this.
There's no speculation.
That is one. Hello. So let me finish, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, again, on the anchor borrower scheme, he also spoke to the anchor borrower scheme. Beyond the inflation we are contending with today, he also alluded to the fact that 10 trillion was given out as development finance interventions. This anchor borrower scheme forms a bulk of the 10 trillion that we are talking about. So there are no speculations here.
My view is that if we want to go ahead with this motion, then we have to go with an ad hoc committee, because the committee on banking has failed to do its oversight function. Because if you don't need a motion. You don't need a motion to undertake your oversight function. You don't listen to me. You don't need a motion to undertake your oversight function. So when a motion comes here, it means that the oversight function has been exhausted. It means that the committee has exhausted its oversight function, and it is now left to the Senate to take a decision on how to approach it. But we would have loved to see a report from you saying that in your oversight, all the items listed here, including oversight, including the anchor borrowers program that you want to look at from 2015, that you don't need us to empower you to do your work. Please, just listen to what I'm saying. For the leaders, before you give information, leader, for the reason why we have oversight and committees, the reason is for things like this. All the items listed here are items that should be handled by the committee. Now the committee is coming by way of motion to empower them to go and handle what we already empowered them to handle. So my opinion is that the moment you bring a motion, it looks as if you are looking for backing. You already have the backing of the Senate to do your work. Senator Ningi, you understand my point? So, no, I want to know the reason. I want to know the reason why do you want the Senate to look at the motion before you do your work? Is it that the Committee on Banking has failed?
It's not a committee motion.
So I distinguish Deputy Senate President. If we have to proceed with this motion, we will set up an ad hoc committee of the Senate and put the best heads together to go and look at this, because automatically the Committee on Banking and even the Committee on Finance, they have failed to do their work. That's why they brought this.
Mr. President, we have not failed. We have not failed. Don't say we have failed. I don't agree to that. We have not failed.
As the court pleases.
Personally, majority of my colleagues are of the view that this motion should be withdrawn now and then and rephrased and represented and then more pungent, so the public will know exactly what we are investigating.
I have consulted widely, and we're still going to consult more. So in the interim, we will step down the motion and consult more before presenting the motion, so we can make it very concise and bring out the salient points that we want to address. On this note, Mr. President, I wish to move that we step down, the Senate do step down this motion and present it at another date. Thank you.
Those who are in support that this motion be withdrawn now for represented in the next legislative day, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.